If you've been experiencing those intermittent power cuts, this is for you. The Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu, has apologized to Ghanaians and businesses for the inconvenience and damage the recent power outages might have caused them. Part of Ghana have experienced unannounced power outages in the last couple of weeks, prompting fears the dreaded Dumba could be back. Former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor, who appeared on Upfront on JoyNews last night, said reduction in electricity tariffs during the last tariff review is a big contributing factor.
But we still have a basic finance problem in the sector. You see, let me take the last tariff adjustment.
Yeah.
The last tariff adjustment did not help the energy sector.
It was 17.5 for residential. The businesses were getting almost 30%.
Yeah, it was good for the populace because it was short term. The government got applause for it, but it was very, very, very unhelpful to the power sector institutions.
But they didn't complain.
They
did. The ECG did not, when we asked them, say, oh, well, they implemented nicely.
If your employer,
okay,
your shareholder,
I see,
takes a decision,
you can't contradict that, really.
You'll be very stupid to come out to contradict it. In 2016, ECG made profits. 2017, they made losses. 2018, they made losses.
And you say this is just because we reduced the tariffs?
No, it's one of the contributing factors.
Oh, one of them?
Yes. I mean, when you are dealing with an entity, there's usually not just one cause, but that contributing cause could be major. Gridco, the most sensitive of all the power sector institutions, in my opinion, Gridco is the most critical. Gridco had to forego 80% of their planned capital expenditure this year because of the tariff reduction.
And they told you that?
Yes. I mean, they presented their budget to the Committee of Mines and Energy and why they had to shelve some part of their capital expenditure. If you don't have the revenue flow you had projected, you see, let's move away from this NDC MPP thing. It's unhelpful, and it's been one of the challenges we've had in this country, especially in the power sector. You see, when the fundamentals are wrong, to borrow from our vice president, you will be exposed.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu, who appeared on PM Express with Evans Spencer, has taken full responsibility and assured government is apparently working to permanently fix the situation.
Well, as a government and as an energy minister, I want to say very sorry to Ghanaians, especially those that have experienced this period of intermittent power supply. Of course, as a minister, I'm responsible. That is why I'm here. I take the blame. But I want to assure them that it was as a result of, a number of events that have occurred, and this has nothing, to do with financial issues. It has nothing to do with a planning system, but it's a mere coincidence of events that occurred as a result of contingencies that are unforeseen. And as a ministry, we put in measures, as I've stated earlier on, to make sure that we address this. We want to apologize for that and let them understand that this will never happen again.
We should endure, we will endure some intermittent power supply for some time. How long should we endure this? How long will the intermittent cuts endure?
Intermittent in terms of technical emergencies.
Yes.
Again, it will be very difficult for me to establish. But as I stated earlier on, ECG on its own is doing what we call power intensification project, and some of this project is aimed at cutting down or minimizing this intermittent supply that we may witness as a result of.
But what we experienced the last 2 weeks, has it stopped?
What we experienced
in the last week that prompted your press conference, has it stopped?
Yes, of course we have addressed that.
Okay.
Ms. Amewu also says though government needs money to normalize the situation, increasing tariffs is not an option government is considering.
If the regulator prescribed the need for review of tariff, of course to be subjected to a lot of discussions, debates, and if it is possible or if it can be done without putting burdens on Ghanaians. If the government, for reasons, has been able to establish that the cost of tariff is of course competitive and it meets the necessary cost obligations, of course, there will not be any justifications for increase. Yeah. We increase tariffs based on cost scenarios. As on when your tariff it's not cost reflective, then of course there's that justification.
But ECG can't pay its debts.
Yeah,
they need to raise money, and one of the key ways is through tariffs.
Yeah, but don't forget some of the debts overhang on ECG. It keeps paying them. It's like some of this government.
But I just recently heard from Mr. Ware, your good friend at Buipa. He says ECG owes them in excess of 200 million cedis that they can't pay them.
Yeah, and again,
so ECG would need the tariffs to pay.
So ECG also need to do a lot more of efficiency management.
I get you.
Okay,
I get
because
you.
The debts are
but
not
you need
just
to meet them halfway.
Precisely, government has been meeting ECG, as I stated. Government over the period that pays a lot of tariff increase is not the necessary way of addressing our debts in terms of clearing the debt. If you increase tariff and there's a huge amount of inefficiency still in the system, you keep on increasing tariff each and then. So we need to address that basic problem: the generation losses, the transmission losses, supply losses, and metering losses. There are a lot of losses along this power theft, and see how the system. Because if you put all these losses together in the range of about 23-25%, that is huge.
Okay.
That is huge. What it means is that those 25% are cost of this.
Are you categorically?
Well, Deputy Ranking Member on Parliamentary Energy Committee, Dela Sowa, on Wednesday took firewood and kerosene lamp to Parliament to bag an argument that government had failed in its rural electrification program. She told the legislature it is worrying that communities continue to live in the dark as a result of government's failure.
Women in my communities, they are suffering. All they are asking is to be connected to the electrical grid. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister says that the budget gives hopes and aspirations to people. The simple hope of my people is that they want to stop using Vinyabu as electricity. That's all they are asking. They are not asking for much. Let us stop using Vinyabu as our source of light. Mr. Speaker, they also asked, the government is rolling out an LPG program. They want to be part of it. Mr. Speaker, a lot of them, this is what they use to cook their food. Mr. Speaker, in this modern age, they are using this, and this is teak wood. Mr. Speaker, I hear one teak necklace in China costs $6,000. Mr. Speaker, my people are burning it because they have no other source. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I learned a new word. I learned Dumkra and Dumso. I was happy that the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Meu, admitted that Dumso is back. Further, we've been fighting is Dumso, but now he has admitted that we are in Dumso.
Away from Parliament, teachers who sexually assault their students will be sacked when found out. That's a warning coming from the Ashanti Regional Director of Education, Mary Owusu Chiao, following recent reports of such scandals in some schools in the region. She told the ceremony to inaugurate the governing board for the Akumadan Senior High School that the Ghana Education Service Disciplinary Committee has commenced investigations into such reports. Nana Ojima brings us more.
Kumasi Secondary Technical, St. Louis, Kumasi Girls and Kumasi Senior High School, among others, have come under the spotlight for cases of alleged sexual abuse. In the case of Kumasi High School, an assistant headmaster is accused of sodomizing students. Mrs. Osu Echang has been tough, ordering interdiction of alleged culprits to allow for investigation. In one instance, she led alleged victim to file a complaint at the police station against a suspect. She says the service will not hesitate to take punitive action, including termination of appointment of teachers who are found culpable.
As I stand here today, the Regional Disciplinary Committee is sitting on about 3 or 4 cases, 4 of such cases involving teachers assaulting students sexually. And I want to caution my teachers, especially the male ones, that any such attempt, even if it's an attempt, if it is brought to our attention, you will be disciplined, you will be sanctioned. And the attempt itself attracts termination of appointment.
District Chief Executive for Offenso North, David Kwesi Asare, tasked School Management Board to be on the lookout for people who abuse their positions.
May I use this opportunity to talk about the indiscriminate sexual relationship between students of second cycle institutions and teachers or school authorities in this country overnight. This is a clear breach of the noble profession and the code of conduct of Ghana Education Service. It is also a criminal conduct for any school authority to sexually abuse a student, be it a male or female, whether the student consents to it or not. I would therefore call on the stakeholders, including the school authority, PTA, and the board to do all that they could to prevent this canker.
Section 14 of the Education Act of 1961 mandates public higher institutions of education to appoint board of governors to help steer affairs. It is to ensure community participation in the smooth running of schools, for which Mrs. Osu Echao calls for effective collaboration.
The academic excellence of any school depends to a large extent on good discipline. As board members, it's binding on you to help the school authorities to maintain a high level of discipline at all times to promote effective teaching and learning, which would improve the WASI results of the school. Let me take this opportunity to advise board members to let the document Code of Discipline for Senior High School serve as a guide when handling disciplinary cases involving students.
Nana Aljima reporting.
Students of the Accra College of Education say they will vacate the premises of the school by Friday if the impasse between their teachers and government is not resolved. Though majority of the students have already left campus, there are few others who are yet to decide and when they will do so. Nancy Fajradosi was at the Accra College of Education and now reports.
The campus of the Accra College of Education was really quiet, with just a few students studying under heads, with really nothing else to do. The worst affected by the teachers' actions are the level 100s following an alteration in the course duration.
My time, my money, my resources, everything is being affected. And even if we come here, we do nothing, just sit there and go to class, eat, go to class, nothing.
Teachers also come, there's going to be some burden on us because we have to cover the topics for this term within a short period.
The routine has been that from whenever we wake up from our bed, we dress up and then come to sit in the classroom with no teachers. We just have to take our books and then learn on our own.
Shortly after our interactions, we sighted another set of students leaving the campus. Benjamin Cramper says he no longer feels comfortable on campus.
Personally, I've not been to class since I reported on the 29th of October. So tomorrow will be 1 month and we've not seen our lecturers. So as you can see, I'm leaving. Though it is not authorized, but I have to leave. I have to go home to do some stuff.
Beyond the absence of his teachers, he feels CTAG has been disrespected by government.
I think CTAG, which is the College of Education teachers, they have been taken for granted for long. If this had been the university teachers of Ghana situation, I think they would have settled them long ago. We saw what happened at KNUST and they settled them. But here is the case, it's almost a month and it's as if the government is not hearing their plight.
So this is the 1C classroom and you see the names of students who are supposed to be in this class. So I suspect they're supposed to be a Form 1 class or a level 100 class. But, okay. You enter and you realize that there's virtually nothing going on in the classroom. Empty seats are all that you see. Ordinarily, teachers are supposed to be in class by now, handling courses on teaching the students. But as you see, nothing has happened. We hear the sound of an organ in another classroom. There they are, the college's choir, making use of the free period to master the keyboard.
We here also are the college choir, and sometimes we have to come and then rehearse on songs to entertain ourselves, because the place is very boring and that we just can't stay without doing anything.
The SLC president has had to hold the fort. It hasn't been easy for him though, in his bid to control the agitated student.
For level 200s, you know, they are my colleagues. And for them, you can't control them. So you can't prevent them from going home. So to be sincere with you, most of them are run away. Yeah, it is the level 100s that are in now.
He says government will have to intervene and get the lecturers back to the classroom.
This is a pure fight between the government and CITAC. But we are suffering. Honestly, we are suffering. And so, all I can say is that we are pleading. We are pleading with the government to come to our aid.
The students are meanwhile being advised by the administration to leave campus by Friday if the impasse is not resolved. Nancy MFA Jadosi, JoyNews.
And before we go, let's take you up north. There's one thing mandatory on anyone who assumes the role of the overlord of the Wala Kingdom. He has the uphill task and responsibility to jump over a cow. And when doing that action, no part of his body or gown should touch that cow. That was the fate of the current Wana Hussein Isedu Pelpo, who he was able to summons the hurdle. Find out in Rafiq Salam's report on the Dumba festival.
It was a day of reckoning at the Wana's palace, not just for the overlord of the Wala Kingdom and his immediate family, but also for the entire city. A defining moment for its present and future. This stationary, lonely, dirty white cow will decide the fate of the Wala overlord. He is expected to cross over the cow when tied and held to the ground. It is to test the physical strength of the overlord. Should any part of his body or his gown touch the cow, as explained by the chairman of the Dumba 2018 Organizing Committee, Seydou Bahama, he will not leave till the next festival.
The feeling that, or the perception that if he fails to jump the cow, he will die is mixed. It's mixed in the sense that it's both spiritual and religious. And through what we have done, and me being the planning commission chairman, he has gone through all those things, and I believe that he's able to go through action without any fear or blame.
Inside the palace are a handful of imams holding chaplets, whilst mumbling some verses of the Holy Quran. The elder daughter of the Wana and some close relations are in pensive mood, hoping for nothing but a successful crossover. The Wala overlord, now Hussein Seydi Pelpo IV, dressed in his usual red short smock and flanked by representatives from the 12 recognized sects of Wa, moved round the cow amidst recitation of some verses from the Holy Quran. It was tense and emotional. A few times the movement slowed and the Wana secretly glanced at the helpless cow. The crowd went dead after the last drumming, and the Wana successfully jumped over the cow, putting the crowd in frenzy. The Wana retired to his over century-year-old palace and reappeared exquisitely dressed in a big smock with his medallion dangling on his neck. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
And the festival is the Dumba Festival. Before we go, Reverend Minister Dr. Bamfo Atiemu has described as probably the greatest legacy of the late Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso West Gong constituency, Emmanuel Chamantinge-Jakong, what is being circulated as his last Facebook post, in which the MP showed kindness to a constituent who visited him in his office right before her passing. A preacher at the one-week celebration called on the Christian community in Ghana to emulate the life of the late MP by doing God's work, regardless of the position he occupied. Reverend Dr. Bamfo Atiemu said this when President Akufo-Addo, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, MP's family, and a cross-section of Ghanaians gathered at the Graceland Presbyterian Church for the service.
There was somber mood at the Graceland Presbyterian Church, where the late legislature worshipped when his family and the president and his vice gathered in the company of a cross-section of Ghanaians to mark 1 week since his death. In a grieving mood, the preacher, Reverend Minister Dr. Bamfo Atiemu, called on the Christian community to emulate the life of the former MP.
For me, the greatest tribute was what is being circulated widely as his last posting on his Facebook page. When he said a certain woman visited him in the office, the woman did not feel well, look so well, he advised the woman to go to see the doctor. A few minutes, he followed up to the hospital only to be told that the woman had passed away. And then he wrote, "My brother, this life is leading us nowhere." But then he also quoted Psalm 90 verse 12, and which said, or which reads, "Teach me to number my days, that I may apply my heart to wisdom."
Wife of the deceased, Josephine Nana Ejako, eulogized her late husband.
Papa de oye evangelist, oyo bia no ya sorry penin. Onim Bible muye.
To us, he was an evangelist and a generous person. In fact, he was overly generous, but that was what God had in stock for him.
Na waye na djuma nti onyame emrepem onyame nankasa afa na de ko nti na brabo de eye Kristo ne etumu fache abrabo.
The family says final funeral rites would be announced in due course.
And as you all know, he was a regular on the show, the AM show. And usually we'll pair him with Nielante Vanderpoy. He's also one of our guests this morning on the show as well. May so rest in peace. Emmanuel Chamantinge-Jakong was a good man. But that'll be it for the show. But please, you can send us also more messages. Facebook, JoyNews on TV. We have a Twitter handle, JoyNews on TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll do a review of the newspapers.